was an acquaintance of mine.
Okay. So very, very common, actually, that it would be someone that you would know. That's very common in most assaults, whether it's a child that's assaulted or an adult. So very, very common. So you eventually began the healing process from what had happened to you. How did that process start, and what did it look like?
It started with a rude awakening of, I realized several years later that something had happened to me, and so it was a rude awakening. And I went to my therapist, and we started talking. About it, started working through it. I started talking to people. Eventually, I started writing again.
Okay, you're a creative writer?
I like to blog.
Okay, you like to blog. Okay, so you like to do that. You mentioned this person who assaulted you. Was it someone that you had known for a long time?
I actually only knew him for about 3 months.
Okay.
So it was a very short time, so I really didn't know him.
Okay. Was it were there any warning signs that you could tell other women now that, looking back, you would say, "Oh, I should have," Was he a controlling individual?
He made it out to be the protective type.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things we've talked about. I'm glad you just brought that up.
Kind of acting as the only person.
He was the one who hurt me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. And that's such a bad trap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Katie, you mentioned your blog. Can you tell us a little bit more about your blog and how that's been helpful to you and how that's impacted others that may have encountered your blog?
I first started it more for myself. As I started my journey with therapy and talking about it and going through the process, was this assault? But now it's been more of I've turned it around. I've turned it more into my journey as healing, and I hope to be able to help other people as I go through this.
Okay. You mentioned healing. When did you know the healing had begun? Or when did you have a sense that when did you know the healing had begun? Or when did you have a sense that I've taken that step?
I guess it was just a feeling. I didn't feel so
fearful,
violated. Mm-hmm. I didn't feel like it was my fault anymore.
What was the key things provided either by the Family Center or other people in your inner circle that helped you achieve that?
People listening to me, validating me, believing me, loving me through it all.
Okay. So I think you just said a key word, listening. And I think a lot of times we don't do that. Listening is an active process. I remember this in my old communications classes in college. Mm-hmm. I mean, we all hear, but so few of us time had been committed against you. What did you do?
After it first happened, I didn't realize anything did, and I actually blocked it out for several years, and it didn't come back to me until a few years later. And that's when I had to begin the healing process.
Oh, wow.
Yep, not unusual.
Okay.
Very common.
Okay, that's, I'm just good. Well, we have that capacity in our brain mm-hmm. to hit the...
Just block it out.
Block it out.
Survival mechanism.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden we're acting weird in certain ways or showing symptoms of something. All of a sudden we break down and cry mm-hmm. for no reason, or we're feeling depressed for no reason. We wonder why. And like you said, you start the healing process and you go back and you find out, uh-oh.
And that's where the Family Center can help. I mean, there's always going to be someone there 24/7 that can, talk, listen.
Okay.
Help out some. Katie would like to share, actually, part of her healing process was writing.
Blogging.
Kind of.
Which is, for folks that don't know, it's writing a journal on the internet.
Right. Right, so she has a website, and she shares her story, and when you go to it, which we will share on our Facebook page, Katie was very willing to share her link to that, so other people, may be able to relate to her story or just want to share their story. And she does have several other people who have contributed to the site as far as sharing their stories and kind of creating a network, I think, of support right there and being able to reach out to others and share their stories. So Katie would like to talk a little bit about starting her blog and how it's evolved. And I think evolved is a good word considering what you call
you said you'd like to write. So you were a blogger prior to what happened to you, or?
Sorta. I hadn't done it for a while, and then afterwards.
Evolved is a good word considering what you call.
You said you'd like to write. So you were a blogger prior to what happened to you, or?
Sorta. I hadn't done it for a while, and then afterwards I started up doing it again.
Okay.
And I've reached out to other online communities for this type of thing, and other people were willing to share their stories, and I put that on my blog. And it's basically a place to share your stories, anonymous or not. It's a place for me to talk about my healing process, my journey, being fearless, taking steps into bettering myself.
What is the name of your blog, Katie?
It's called Becoming Katie Butterfly, because I believe that I am evolving into a butterfly. The darkness I went through, it didn't last forever, and that is what I am becoming. And I want others to